Theresa Roemer is an influencer in the wild. Her channel is Theresa Roemer, The Life of an Influencer. Her channel has reached 147,000 subscribers and over 28 million total channel views. Theresa does everything from fashion to makeup to vlogging to really awesome home remodeling projects. She lives on Theresa's Ranch, which is a gorgeous and huge country estate. To give you an idea of just how awesome this place is, her closet was featured on ABC's Good Morning America because it is almost a house in and of itself, filled with beautiful clothing, shoes, and everything needed to look sharp. She has a website, theresaroemer.com, where she sells beauty products, books, candles, pillows, and offers coaching for anything you may need. Theresa, how are you doing today?
What an intro.
I try to start big, make sure people know what we're getting into here.
Like, holy moly, what else can you put in there?
Oh, believe me, there was plenty more. So you are a fascinating character, I will say. Watching your channel, you post a lot of videos. Most of them seem to take place in your ranch. I mean, it's huge. It's beautiful. Like, I guess, was your original goal with YouTube to kind of share your lifestyle here? I mean, you got lots of cool, amazing things in your life. Was that your goal? Was just kind of to share things? Were you trying to make money? Why did you get into this?
I had a company in New York that I was working with, and we were doing interviews and whatnot. I just published one of my other books, Naked in 30 Days, and they said, why aren't you on YouTube? Like, why aren't you sharing your life? You have such an interesting life. Why aren't you sharing it? And I said, really? Okay. And so literally I took my phone, and I would just sit out there and, oh, this is what I'm doing today kind of thing. Didn't know anything about what I was doing. Like, I had no clue about YouTube. I didn't know how to video for it. I was just like, picking up my phone, and before I knew it, I had like 10,000 followers.
Oh, wow.
And I thought, why are they following me? Like, this is ridiculous. I mean, and I wasn't even holding the phone in the right direction either. I was holding it upright instead of sideways to film right. And so, and literally, if you go back and look in those years, 2015, I mean, you can clearly see I didn't know what I was doing. And so I just started educating myself, and I thought, geez, if I'm going to do this, I have to figure out how to do it right. And, so here we are, 5-6 years later.
So it sounds like you were working with this company. You clearly already had an interesting life going on, a personality going on, and then YouTube kind of just you had enough people telling you, hey, you should do this, to where you kind of just started sharing what your life already was. Like, did you feel like you changed much for the camera, or do you kind of just like film it as it is?
I always tell people it is what it is. We don't cover anything up. We don't make things up. I truly do have an interesting life. It's never the same each and every day. When I try to tell people I have an interesting life, they're like, I'm sure you're no different than we are. And I'm like, oh, go watch my channel and tell me. And then they come back and go, wow, you have an interesting life. So, yeah, so we don't leave anything untouched. I mean, whatever happens, and we just film it.
That is awesome. I mean, that's the beauty of YouTube, right? You can be super raw, and that is one thing I noticed about your videos is they are pretty raw, in the sense that it feels like, you turn the camera on, you're there, you're either working in your garden, or you're remodeling a giant shower, or whatever it is that you're doing. It's very like, you're not constantly cutting and trying to go out of your way to keep people's attention. You're just doing something that is interesting. You're pointing the camera at it. You have your cameraman, of course, and he has a great personality as well. And yeah, you guys are kind of just living your lives and doing interesting things in a very beautiful spot. Oh, there he is. So, okay, I wanted to ask you, the Good Morning America segment on ABC featuring your closet. Just to describe for the viewers this closet, I mean, there was shoes and like wall to wall, and it looked like a 2-bedroom apartment in and of itself. How did you get featured on Good Morning America? Like, tell me about that.
Well, it was never supposed to be filmed. So I've always had beautiful closets my entire life. I always feel like, kind of like how a man has a car and he shows off his car. Well, I always had pretty closets. And so I became very well known for having pretty closets. And so when I was redoing that house, I said, hey, I've been in 2-story closets, but I've never been in a 3-story closet. Let's do a 3-story closet. And so I started designing, and my personal shopper at Neiman Marcus started paying attention, and he said, oh my gosh, Neiman Marcus wants to do a blog about your closet because it looks like a little Neiman Marcus. And I said, no, I don't want, no, the only way somebody's going to see this closet is if they pay money to come see this closet, because we're going to hold charity events in the closet. That was my goal, was to have a closet big enough to hold the charity events in the closet, because that's where all the girls wanted to be every time they came to my house, was in the pretty closet. So I finally realized that, hey, I didn't know Neiman Marcus how to blog. So if I didn't know, and I'm a huge Neiman Marcus girl, no one else probably knows. So nobody's really going to pay attention to this blog. So they came, they did a photo shoot, they did the blog, and the next thing I know, the local TV station, one of them picked up on it. They came and filmed. From there, it went to Good Morning America. I mean, it just blew up like, I don't know. It went crazy. It went crazy.
So it was just kind of enough people found out about it that eventually it was only a matter of time before the news picked it up and other people started talking about it. Because like my closet, I mean, it's kind of in the corner here. It's a very normal closet. It's not exactly 3 stories, so that is a unique room in the house, shall we say? So I get it. I get the appeal. So okay, I always find it interesting to hear about people's backgrounds. Like you were clearly living and still are living a very interesting life prior to YouTube. Like how do you think you became the person who was quote unquote worthy of having a YouTube channel? Like, take me down the steps in your life that kind of brought you to the person that you felt justified filming and putting up on the internet.
Well, I don't think anybody necessarily has to be qualified to be a YouTuber. You know, I've always been an interesting person. Clear back to my bodybuilding days, when I owned health clubs. Prior to that, I mean, I can't remember not being interesting. I've always been told my whole entire life I was interesting, because I was always one of these people that was able to juggle 20 balls in the air at the same time, which most people can't. They normally have to concentrate on one thing. And I can have 20 things going on and manage all 20 things just fine, which drives most people crazy. And so that kind of makes me interesting, I guess.
Definitely.
But yeah, I don't know. I've just always been told I'm an interesting person.
And I mean, it sounds like kind of since day one, you've been living your best life, so to speak. Like, owning, so, okay, you did bodybuilding and you said you owned, was it bodybuilding clubs? Did I hear that right? Did I mishear that?
Yeah, health clubs. Mm-hmm.
Health clubs. There we go. So, I mean, you've always been working for yourself.
Yes. Well, I mean, I started out milking cows on the ranch when I was a little girl. Then when we moved to the city, I got a newspaper route, and from there, I started bussing tables, and then I became a waitress and a hostess and a lifeguard. Of course, I've worked for people going, as I grew older, department stores and so on and so forth. But when it came a point in my life where I could actually be my own boss, I jumped at the chance and I've never looked back.
And I totally feel that. So I've been doing YouTube and freelancing for about 7 years, and I think when you get a taste for that freedom and kind of that feeling of independence, like you don't have a boss breathing down your neck, and you can set your own hours, and even if those hours are insane, like the ability to organize your own schedule has a lot of freedom to it. And I think it can really, it opens you up to a lot of new experiences that if you're kind of locked in, working the same hours every week, no matter what, with only a few vacation days, then it's harder, I would say, to really kind of do what you've been doing, or what I've been doing, and just kind of trying to innovate and do interesting things, owning your own business. Yeah, like I really dig it. I find this freedom to be just, I don't know. I don't know if I could ever go back to a normal job.
I think it would be hard to go back to having to answer to someone. Yes, because once you become your own boss and you call your own shots, it's liberating, I think. I used to have a sign that hung above my desk when I had my health clubs, and it said, "Why would I want to work for you 8 hours a day when I can work for myself 16 hours a day?" Which, I've always tell people, if you really find something that you're passionate about and you make a living at it, you'll never feel like you're working. And so those 16 hours that I might put in never feels like 16 hours. Maybe it only feels like 4 or 5 hours because I'm enjoying myself and I'm having so much fun doing it. So, whether it was my health clubs or being a personal trainer or being a YouTuber or an influencer, when you're having fun, it doesn't, the time flies. And so it never feels like you're one of those 9 to 5ers where you're watching the clock every hour, dreading, oh my God, I got 4 more hours to go. you
Hmm.
know, I now look back and go, wow, my God, I've been at this for 9 hours. It only seems like it's been a few hours. But by the end of the day, sometimes my assistant and I look at each other and go, oh my God, where did the time go? We've been working for 9, 10 hours and it feels like it was just morning a couple hours ago.
Yeah, I think the word for that is flow state, right? It's like you get in a flow and you're not even questioning. I think for a lot of people, they associate work with a certain amount of dread, or like they have to fight themselves to do it. It's like a burden or something that they carry, and maybe they on some level feel like it makes them better to carry that burden. And obviously, being productive is super important, but I guess like you don't have to be constantly fighting yourself or hate your job, or you can get into these flow states where it feels effortless to do lots of things, and it even feels like you're adding on to your life. And I think one thing that's particularly interesting is how like you doing all these things, like they all seem to have kind of built on each other. And part of that I'm sure was by design, but then a lot of it too is just kind of, I think when you're building all these separate things, they end up somehow these pieces just kind of fit together in weird ways too. Like when you built your giant closet and designed it, and then all of a sudden the news starts talking about it, and then that's traffic for your YouTube channel, and then your YouTube channel gets bigger, and that's more opportunities, and it's like this kind of exponential feedback loop that I think is really it feels awesome, and I'm happy for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hmm.
You're right.
So
No, they kind of just feed off each other and everything. It just blends together nicely. I don't know how it happens. Sometimes I'm just like, wow, how did that happen?
totally. And so, is there like a style of video that is your favorite to make on your channel? Like a particular topic that really you're like, ooh, we're making this kind of video today.
Well, I really love my motivational Monday videos because I'm very well known for being able to motivate and inspire people. And so, uh, when, I don't know, it's been quite a few years ago now when we decided to do motivational Mondays and fashion Fridays and wacky Wednesdays and all that kind of stuff. It's funny because it seems like that's how I draw people in is through my motivational Monday talks that I have with people through my YouTube channel. And yet, if it's based on solely motivation, I don't get that many views. But yet everybody's like, "Oh my God, we can't wait for your next motivational Monday video," and yet it won't get as many views. So I usually have to throw something in with motivational Monday, such as a house update or some shopping or something, just to be able to keep my numbers up. But it's kind of funny that I spent my whole life in fitness, and if I do anything about fitness, it's like crickets.
Interesting, huh? So I mean, it sounds like you've kind of figured out like what your viewers tune in for, what they don't. So like, what would you say is like the main appeal of your channel? Like, if you had to like guess what the inside of your viewers' heads look like what is it that they're looking for from you?
Well, I think the thing that really created my YouTube channel was fashion and luxury fashion, whatever, because my closet was full of luxury and fashion. And so I think that was their main pull because they really wanted to see what was in that big closet. And oh my God, look what's in this closet. Nobody's got a closet like this. Oh my God, look at all of her Hermes collections. And so that's really what pulled it in, I think, most of the time is the luxury fashion.
And like, so what do you think it is about that? I mean, obviously there's a big market for that. I think people they like tuning in for uh fancy things. There's something about fancy things that people love.
Right.
Like,
Right. Well, okay, let's compare this to the Kardashians. Why do most people watch the Kardashians? Because they live a lifestyle that most people could only dream of living. And I'm not a Kardashian, I'm a Roemer, but I live a life that most people only dream about. And so I think they tune in to see this lifestyle of mine because let's take somebody that lives over in Russia or the UK, and their entire apartment or their entire flat where they live is maybe 600 square feet, and that's like one little corner of my closet. And so there's that person, or somebody from China or Japan. They live in very close, tiny quarters. So that person is sitting there watching me and going, "Oh my God, look at the size of her closet. Look at the size of her house. Oh my God, her Hermes collection could get me 20 houses over here in Japan." I mean, so I think even though I'm not on TV like the Kardashians, I do live that life that people want to live vicariously through. They were just like, "Wow, look at her driving her Rolls Royce. Oh my God, look at her driving her Bentley." This is my life. It's not a made up life. I don't have to go out and rent those cars or rent that house to make it all look like that. I mean, I actually live that life. And so I think that's what pulls them in is that they are in awe of, I mean, like I'll watch the Kardashians because I'm in awe of some of what they do or wear or some of their belongings or whatnot. So, we all, if I see a amazing new car come out, I'm in awe. I'm like, whoa, look at that style car. I can remember when Tesla first came out. I was like blown
mhm.
away, whoa. And then somebody I knew finally owned one. And I was like, wow, look at that, So I think we're always in awe of amazing things.
Definitely, and that makes total sense. Like, I think it's cool that just the life that you're living has sort of been able to be turned into a show simply by pointing a camera at it, and there's a simplicity to that is cool. So I am curious, how has YouTube affected your businesses? Like, clearly you've been a business person for a long time. Like, how has YouTube kind of changed the game for you, and how does it feed into, for instance, TheresaRoemer.com?
Um, I think it's made me more of an influencer now. I definitely have more companies coming at me to do collaborations with, which of course generates more income. And it also has helped generate more income through my TheresaRoemer.com, through all the things that I sell on my website. So, I think I see YouTube as just another platform that helps me share me with the world. If I can't be on TV, I'm at least going to be on YouTube. Because I had visions years ago of having my own TV show. I thought, hey, if the Kardashians can have their own show, why can't I? I live that life. That's the
Hmm.
life I live. Why can't I have that show? And so I figured if I can't have that show on TV, I might as well just have it on YouTube. And so, um, and as a former personal trainer, being able to help one person at a time in the gym, now I find that I have YouTube and I can help the masses instead of just one person at a time. I can now use my motivational Mondays and my knowledge and everything that I am. I can use that platform now to help the masses instead of one person at a time.
Hmm. And yeah, that is the magic of the internet, right? Is I mean, you reach all around the world, and there's no limit. Like it can keep growing, and somebody in the Philippines can see your channel, and maybe they've never been to the United States, and they never will, but they can still kind of see what you're about and learn from you and get your knowledge, and it's I how has that been different for you? Like, kind of having an online presence versus that more personal trainer in person. I said person a lot there, but like, has that been weird? Has that been nice to not have to be interacting with people quite as much? How's that been?
Well, I still interact with people. I'm still that person that tries to answer every question or every thing that comes at me. So whether somebody's on YouTube leaving a comment, I try to answer their questions or their comments. If it's on Instagram, I try to answer all of my own DMs. If I get
Hmm.
an email, I am that person that still interacts with everyone. Like I said, I just maybe if I had 159 million followers, I wouldn't be able to do that. But with the followers that I do have, I find that that's still my way of being personal with them, is still being able to respond to them one on one.
Right. And so I am curious, do you have a larger goal for YouTube? Are you kind of just taking it day by day, or do you have a 5-year plan of sorts?
Well, yeah, we want to hit a million. Aren't you
Of
close to
course. Yep, yeah, getting there. Definitely
that? Okay,
getting there. It
well,
would feel nice.
maybe you can share your secret.
The secret
So,
is to just keep posting. That's the only secret there
right,
is.
right. No, so it was funny. Like I said, when I was just not knowing what I was doing, and I was recording on my phone, and somehow mysteriously I got 10,000 followers. Um, I hired my assistant that I have now, and when we reached 20,000, we thought, "Oh my gosh, 20,000 followers! This is huge." We made a big deal out of it, and then we were like, "Oh my god, 20 is nothing."
Hmm.
And then we got 30, and then 40, and then before we knew it, we hit 100,000, and that was like amazing. Like, holy smokes, how did we get 100,000 followers? And so, yeah, I mean, I would love to have a million. I would love to have 10 million.
Hmm.
Um, but it's like I tell my assistant, we just got to keep plugging away, keep plugging away.
And so I think one thing that people they like to use YouTube as a front for other businesses. So like, how have you used YouTube to, for instance, pitch TheresaRoemer.com, or like whatever other things that you want to pitch? Like, how is it just kind of organic that you mention these things? Like, how do you bring up other things that you're working on?
I don't I don't I don't see that I use YouTube as a front for any of my businesses. I mean, I think YouTube is very organic for me. Um, I don't work hard at it, and when I say I don't work hard at it, yes, I'm very consistent at it. I do it on a regular basis, but because it's my life, it just happens, you know. And so, like, I'll get someone that wants to do a collaboration with me, and then they're like, "Well, can you tell us what video you're going to connect our collaboration with?" And I'm like, "I don't know, because I film that day. I don't film weeks in advance and have it all setting in a vault somewhere. I capture it as it happens,
Hmm.
and it gets uploaded that day." So everything about Teresa Roemer is very organic. It's not made up. It's not. I don't know. And like you said, I mean, like my YouTube channel, my Instagram, my Facebook, Snapchat, they just all intertwine and feed off of each other.
And I think that's particularly interesting because a lot of people they feel the need to have some complicated plan. They they need to know exactly what they're going to be posting next week or the day after or whatever. They just feel all of this unnecessary pressure and they end up making things more complicated when really I think you're proof that you can really just kind of show up, and as long as you're putting in the effort and you're posting and you're being consistent, and of course I'm sure the more you post the more you learn and you can kind of tweak things here and there, but it's really a matter of kind of just putting one foot in front of the other. That's the nice thing about YouTube, I think, is there is a game to it, but it's a pretty straightforward game in the sense that the most important thing is to just keep posting and improving.
Right, right. And I used to think back in the day, oh my gosh, if I'm going to go on trip and I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks to Europe, I'm going to have to film all of this stuff and leave it with my assistant so he can make sure. Well, now I've learned if I'm overseas, I can film that day. Well, you probably need one or two in the vault just, because of the time difference. But literally now, with Dropbox and all these WeTransfer, I can literally film that day of my vacation or whatever and Dropbox that night, and he's got it and he can put it up the very next day. And so I think the need for, like you said, all of this stuff to be pre-filmed and setting in the vault is not really necessary. If you really want it to be authentic and real, there's so many ways to make that happen now.
Definitely, and I think to like your style definitely reflects that. I think maybe if somebody their content is much more scripted and kind of there's a filter between them and their online persona, then maybe it does make more sense to just I only release this day and I have a plan, and that's totally valid. But one thing that I've really liked about this podcast is just talking to all kinds of people on this platform and realizing that there isn't really one right way to do this. It's all kind of what works for you, and maybe the most important thing is like how can you learn to flow with it and get really into your process. So if having a meticulous plan is part of somebody's process, then that is great. But if you're not somebody who likes meticulous plans, or at least not with YouTube, then don't do it. Don't do it. You don't have to.
Right. Yeah. And I do feel that before COVID hit, I was extremely busy doing collaborations with other YouTubers and whatnot, which I think also helped my growth with my YouTube channel. And then since COVID, of course, nobody wanted to collaborate. Nobody really could. And doing interview via computer wasn't as fun as doing it in person. I felt that my growth on my YouTube channel did slow down because of that, because it did seem like my growth was coming from being able to collaborate with other YouTubers. So I don't know if you find that in your YouTube channel or not.
It I didn't collab that much with Theresa. I we kind of just posted what we thought would do well. And sometimes we would post just what we thought was interesting. But I think in the 7 years, we maybe collabed like 2 or 3 times. But again, like our stuff was very scripted and it was highly edited. And I think with that, you don't have to collab as much. There's something about that type of content that kind of like, I don't know, it can go off on its own. Whereas when you're more of a lifestyle person like you, I think it is more important to go out and meet people in the real world and ideally film it as well. So it's, there's a million different games you can play, a million different ways to kind of do this. And clearly, like, you're a very social person. And I think having like a channel that relies on meeting people, or at least is heavily aided by meeting people, has been good for you.
I agree.
Yeah. So I guess like I so one thing I always like to ask people is your most popular videos. Like, have you noticed a trend in videos that pull in over 100,000 views? I mean, you have like I have some videos up here, 510,000, 423,000. Like, is there a secret formula, or maybe don't give away the secret formula, but is there a pattern? Like, why do some videos blow up and some videos don't?
If you can figure that one out for me, I would appreciate it. Because like I said, I know some YouTubers that analyze everything. They're like, okay, like, was it the time of day that I posted? What was it, the topic? Was it who I interviewed? Like I said, maybe if I had to actually do this for an actual living, I would be more analytical about it and try to figure out what's making things hit and what's not making some things hit. But I do this for fun. Yes. Does YouTube pay me? Yes. But I mean, I don't have to live off of it. Put it that way. It's play money, I guess. I don't know. So I am not one of those analytical people that's trying to figure out, okay, I've got to figure out what's making some of the videos hit, because I want to make every single one of them hit. I've never been that person. I just do it for fun. I'm just having fun doing it.
And so it's funny. I've asked the same question to quite a few people now in on this podcast, and most of them say about what you said, which is, if you can figure out why some videos blow up and some don't, please tell me. I would love to know. Like, oftentimes, people will have what they think is their worst video will actually get the most views, and they have no idea why. Like, has that ever happened to you, where some video that you weren't super fond of for whatever reason ended up going into the stratosphere?
I don't know if I've noticed that, but I've noticed videos that I thought would do really, really good, and I wake up the next morning and I'm like, what happened?
That's the worst. Yeah.
Oh my God, like, this was such a good video. Like, why is nobody watching it? So I've had that happen more so than trying to figure out why one went off into the stratosphere. I mean, like, I'm the kind of person that I pay attention like the very next day to see where the numbers are. But after that next day, I'm like, and I'll maybe try to push it out some more. But after that, I kind of don't pay attention to them anymore. So you're sitting here saying that you've got one at 510,000 and 400 and some thousand you're looking at on my channel.
Yep.
You know more than I do, because
You're a purist, is what I'm hearing.
I wouldn't even know which. Do you know what the titles are?
Yeah, How I Spent $250,000, Beverly Hills Brat Inside the World's Largest, got a World's Largest Closet, of course. Luxury Pieces I Regret Buying, Shopping for My New Jet. Yeah, these are the things that seem to do well. So,
Well, so you can clearly see that almost every one of those videos has to do with luxury items.
Yes. I was going to point that out because you mentioned earlier, like, that's kind of the main draw of your channel, and the numbers definitely back that up. And I think sometimes, like, clearly with YouTube, you're kind of relying on your intuition. You said you aren't super analytical with it, and in this case, I think that's totally valid. Like, I don't know. I also feel if you're going to be doing anything kind of artistic like this, you do want to be mostly working with your intuition, and you can get analytical about it. That's cool, but I don't know. I've actually had in the past running my own YouTube channel, like when we got too analytical and we started trying too hard to cover certain topics, then we ended up kind of isolating our audience who really liked us for who we were, and like that can be dangerous, and then you end up doing what you don't want to be doing, and then in the long run it kind of, your channel will actually go down in numbers, or in order to keep it going up you have to rely more and more on these topics that you don't necessarily care about. And like this is the pitfall of looking at numbers over trusting your intuition.
Yeah, and so that's why I said we have found that it just works better for us to just film that day, because we've got so much crazy stuff going on. Like today, like I had a massive sale over the weekend for Easter, and we launched the new skincare line, and I literally spent 3 days doing nothing but packaging. And so now I already took one SUV full of packages to the mailing center. Today we're going to get ready to take the second SUV. I'm like, but tomorrow will we be doing the same thing that we're doing today? No, it'll be something totally different. And so we find that we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We just literally go with what's happening in my life.
Right on. Nice and simple, and clearly it works for you.
Yeah.
So what are some like recent, well, you said COVID has kind of slowed down your collaborations, but have you done any collaborations in the last couple years that like you really enjoyed, that were super fun?
I think every collaboration we've done has been fun.
A good answer.
um,
It's okay. You don't have to play favorites.
I remember when I remember when we did the collaboration with Cole Kerrigan. I brought him down from Dallas, Texas, and we literally slept in my closet for a night in little pup tents. And then we had then we had my housekeeper bring us breakfast in the morning. But I mean, like that was probably one of the coolest YouTube, the videos that we did. I mean, like that was a fun collaboration to do. But no, I think we've just done some amazing collaborations. Yeah, I seek out fun people. When I'm looking to do a collaboration with someone, I really kind of research them and pick out somebody that I know that I'm going to have fun with.
And yeah, like that's kind of the magic formula, right? Is just if you're enjoying yourself on camera, then it's probably going to be a good video. I talked to somebody recently on this podcast, and they had a piece of, I guess, philosophy that they kept in mind, which is if you have a charismatic person in front of the camera, then it's only a matter of time before you succeed.
Right.
And I think it's good to keep things simple that way. So one thing I also wanted to ask you about. So I see you post a good amount of YouTube shorts. Like what has been your experience with those? Like, so the reason I ask is some people find they end up getting a lot of views from them, but the views don't really stick around. Like they kind of just bloat the channel. But other people find that they are very necessary and they actually can grow the channel quite stably. What has been your experience with YouTube Shorts?
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm sitting here going, "What's a YouTube short?"
Oh, it's like kind of an Instagram story, but on YouTube.
Yeah.
I guess your assistant has been taking care of these, so he's doing his job. He's doing a really good job.
Oh, so those were my old videos that I was videoing back when I didn't know what I was doing, which have turned into shorts now.
Ah.
So yeah, I mean, because he showed those to me the other day. he was like, "Theresa, look at all of these that you didn't." I'd be like, "Hey guys, I'm out running," and literally, I was working with someone at the time that told me never to keep my videos for more than 10 minutes. He said keep them short, and I was like, "Why would I want to keep them short?" I mean, like, So back then I was trying to keep everything short and simple, like a minute 52 seconds, 2 minutes and 10 seconds. And now, like you said, now they've turned into shorts. I mean, like, and those weren't even that interesting. They were just like little clips of me doing stupid things.
Okay, so yeah, you essentially were able to recycle old videos and use them as shorts. That's super smart. And as far as the person saying that you should keep your videos short, I do not agree with that. Seems like you don't either, especially because like the way the algorithm works actually backs this up. So um,
Well, plus you can't get paid unless they're 10 minutes or longer. Or is it 8?
Right. Well, you can't have mid rolls unless it's 10 minutes or longer. I think they recently moved that down to 8 minutes, I believe, where you can now put a mid roll in. But yeah, the way the algorithm works, for anybody who doesn't know, is just it's all about watch time. So if you have a 20-minute video, then you have the potential to rack up 20 minutes of watch time if somebody watches that whole video. But if the video is only 1 minute long, then there's less of a chance to rack up lots of watch time. So just kind of the way YouTube works, posting long videos actually can really help you. And especially like you release quite a lot of content and a lot of it is quite long, over 10 minutes for sure.
Yeah.
Like that is a good recipe for success, is just lengthy videos that are released regularly. Hmm.
Yeah. So you're probably not old enough to know there was a TV show back when I was little called Green Acres.
Okay. Yeah, no, I believe you. I believe. It's like, go on, go on.
And so you're probably going to Google it now, and you're going to find out the show.
Uh-huh.
But it's called Green Acres,
I'm
and
Googling it right now.
and it was all about this New York socialite. Her husband bought a ranch and moved her from New York City and put her on the ranch. And I said, that's what happened to me. My husband took this socialite and put me out on this ranch. And so that's why for the longest time we were calling the little series Roemer's Acres, because it was kind of labeled after Green Acres. You need to Google it and find it. But it's so it's quite funny, and that's why I think that's why my viewers are having so much fun with it, was because here's this socialite that's a big philanthropist, and she's known for wearing all these luxury clothes and high heels and carrying a Birkin all the time. And now she's wearing coveralls and riding a tractor and remodeling a house and growing a garden. And so I think it's kind of funny because they never thought they would see Theresa Roemer doing that. But yeah, it's that's why it's not hard to come up with content.
Right. You had some inspiration, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, and you got plenty of acres, that's for sure. And
Yes.
so, like, do you have any upcoming house projects that you're really excited about? Or if you want to keep it a secret, that's okay too. But
No,
uh,
well, no. I mean, like, and the other reason we decided to go ahead and film this remodel was because when I did the last house, I didn't film it. It was kind of all done behind the scenes, and we just showed the final result. And so people have always known that I'm also a real estate agent, and they also know that I flip houses. And so I thought, why not show them the behind the scenes on how I actually do this, how I design things, how things come to fruition. Who are the workers that created this, and how did we come up with that? And so I think that's the other thing, is I said to my viewers, this time I want you guys to come along, and I want you to see how I create things. I want you to know how it all happens. We don't just
mhm.
snap our fingers. There's a lot of hard work involved. And so, we're supposed to be done with the closet here within, like, hopefully the next week. So we're going to be moving into the next largest closet in the world. That's
Oh, ooh.
absolutely stunning. It's all one floor this time instead of three, but it's as big, if not bigger. And it has glass doors that open out to gardens and everything. That's going to
Whoa.
be fun. And they're building the outdoor living and kitchen area right now. We're still remodeling the kitchen. We might be turning the barn into an office building. I'm like, there's so much going on, so much. And
What is
everybody's
the?
like, they're all like, oh, we're going to be so sad when this comes to an end. And I said,
It never will.
it's never going to come to an end.
Hmm. What is the acreage there, if you don't mind me asking?
It's big.
Is a big one. Is a big one. Yeah, clearly. Just I was just curious because the shots of everything is like, oh my god, that is quite a ranch. Quite a
Yeah,
ranch.
yeah.
Hmm. Well, yeah, this has been amazing. One thing I always like to ask people is if you have one piece of advice for somebody who is starting a YouTube channel, they want to start but they're scared, or even just somebody who is starting their own business and they're apprehensive. What would be your best piece of advice to tell them?
Well, usually the only person standing in the way of your success is you, yourself, because you're scared. And so I've always tried to tell people that I will not be that person sitting in my rocking chair in my 90s saying, I wished I would have. I'm going to basically say, I did it all. I did it all. I might have succeeded at some things, I might have failed at some things, but I have no regrets. And so, you know, chances are when you start something, there's going to be failure involved somehow. But if you don't have failure, then you're not trying. And there's not one single person out there that's extremely wealthy or extremely knowledgeable or extremely famous that has not failed at something somewhere in their life. It can name any billionaire, any millionaire. Everyone's had some failure somewhere in their life, and that's why they are successful and where they're at now is because they had lots of failures and they turned those failures into success. And so I just try to tell people being scared is normal. If you're not scared, there's something wrong with you because the chances of failure is huge, but you know, you could be the one person that steps out and hits success right away, or you're that person that fails 9 or 10 times and then on the 11th try, it finally happens. So I've had my share of failures in my life. And, you know, it's like my parents used to tell me, you get bucked off the horse, you get back on the horse. You know, if you pick yourself up by your bootstraps and you do it again and you do it again and you do it again until you get it right. So just reach for the stars.
Hmm.
It's out there. It's we all have the same 24 hours in a day, and it just depends on what you're doing with your 24 hours. And so I'm just basically saying to everyone, get out there and make your dreams come true. You only have one life. This is not a dress rehearsal. This is the
Hmm.
real deal. And there's only going to be one person you're mad at later on is yourself because you didn't get out there and try.
Sage advice. And yeah, I think people get held back by this feeling of shame. Like, as you said, they're afraid of failure. But what they're really afraid of is feeling ashamed. Like, I took a chance and it didn't work. And how embarrassing. And what are people going to think of me? What am I going to think of myself? They kind of want to stay in the safe little bubble where they don't necessarily have to feel those things. But as you said, the not wanting to be the 90-year-old person in the rocking chair wishing you had done something. I think there are also consequences to not acting on things that you feel passionate about. And so something I think for our viewers to keep in mind is even if you don't take the risk, in a way, you're still taking a risk. You can't really get away from it.
Yep. Yep. You're taking, like I said, you know, everyone likes to be in their comfort zone. We feel happy and we feel safe in our comfort zones, but you need to learn that you can expand your comfort zone, and you've got to get uncomfortable for a little bit to get out of that comfortable your comfort zone. And I don't know one person in life that's ever gotten where they've gotten without getting out of their comfort zone. You've got to
Hmm.
feel a little uncomfortable to be successful.
Yeah, and then the funny thing about that too is when you do get out of your comfort zone and then you've kind of like you did that thing that made you uncomfortable and then after it's over, I feel like you end up feeling more comfortable in the long run. It kind of like it tests you, you pass the test, and then somehow it like makes you more grounded and more at ease and more at peace with who you are. So it's like you sort of are able to jump into and embrace the discomfort, and that in turn makes you more comfortable instead of kind of like trying to stay in your comfort zone all the time. You end up sort of being uncomfortable at least a little bit all the time, instead of having it kind of in these isolated, chosen situations that you've decided to engage with. So yeah, it's funny how that works.
Yeah, but I've also learned in life that we have, well, I call them workers. And the workers are these people that like their 9 to 5 job. They like the salary or the every 2 week paycheck or whatever, because that's their comfort zone. And they're perfectly happy with that. And like, say, take a postal employee. And I'm not picking on postal employees, but let's just take a postal employee that's worked for the post office for 32 years and then they finally retire. And he's hated his job every day. But he was comfortable and it made his family a nice living, and it is what it is. But I've come to learn over the years that we have to have some workers. They're workers, and they like their comfort zone, and they like their 9 to 5s, and they're never going to be the self-employed, get out of your comfort zone kind of person. They're just not going to be, and that's okay. We need people like that in this world too.
Hmm.
But for those of you that do want to be your own boss, get out of your comfort zone and make it happen.
Right on. Yeah, I like that kind of well-rounded perspective. I think, talking to influencers, sometimes it can feel like, this is the only way to do it. If you're not making your own hours, if you're not jumping into the ice cold water every morning, then something's wrong. But that's not necessarily the case. Hmm.
No, because you have to have those workers. You have to have those people, because God forbid if we were all the same.
I know, right? If everybody was like me, the world would be chaos. Nobody would ever do taxes. Not even because they don't want to pay them, but just it's too boring. They can't sit down and do it.
But like I said, those people that work at the banks, that work 9 to 5, I mean, like we need those people, and that's okay to be one of those people if that's who you are. But if you're gonna chronically bitch about your job every day, how much you hate it, blah blah blah, then you're the only person that can change it.
Right. Yeah. That's the important distinction too. Is it's good to be comfortable, but you also want to be happy. And
Right.
I think finding our place in this world is can be surprisingly difficult. But I think your words can help people figure that out, no matter who they are.
Right.
Well, thank you so much for joining me. This has been a fantastic conversation. You are indeed a very interesting person, and I think it's wonderful. I'm glad you're putting yourself out on YouTube. You clearly have a lot of interesting things to share. Why don't you tell people where they can find you, pitch whatever it is you're trying to pitch, and be shameless about it.
Well, you can always find me on TheresaRoemer.com, which is my website. You can also find me on Facebook at Theresa Roemer. You can also find me on Instagram, Theresa.Roemer. You can, of course, find me on YouTube, Theresa Roemer, The Life of an Influencer. Of course, I'm on Snapchat, also TikTok, you name it, I'm out there.
Right on. Theresa Roemer, everybody. Thanks for watching. And I will see you all in the next one. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.